Okay, so my next story has substantial data behind it, which is quite interesting. So,
You know what I've got substantial data for? You being a cunt.
oh, wow!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 25 of your favourite parenting podcast. This is Overly Honest Dads. My name's Matt, and I'm very pleased to be your host, and I'm joined, as always, by Magnus.
Hi, guys.
And John.
Hello, hello.
How are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not testicular?
Yeah, baby.
You always have some kind of awkward, strange comment to
Of
make.
course, because I have to introduce fun into this boring podcast.
Just say
This podcast is not boring.
No, it's not. It's not. I wouldn't be doing it if it was.
Look, we have to look forward to my review of my dishwasher.
No, that's not happening. That's never happening. You're never going to review a dishwasher on this podcast.
Good.
As long as
We should do it and then scrap the episode.
As long as I'm host, that won't ever happen. And anyway, I have good news for you listeners at home. We have a new segment this week. Instead of the product review that we've been doing, we have a new section, and it's going to be called Dad Masterclass. And the idea of this new section is that we'll give you exactly what it says, a masterclass in some aspect of parenting. Sometimes it'll be just one that we'll do ourselves, and it might not be even massively parenting related. We might do how to cook a perfect steak, which is a skill all dads should have.
Yeah.
Maybe how to light a barbecue. That'd be a good one. And then parenting stuff like nappies, bath time, and today we are doing nappies. So we're going to do a quick dad masterclass in everything you need to know about changing nappies. Hopefully this will be useful for dads to be or people who have babies and do lots of nappy changes.
Excellent. And will we be debating the various techniques as well?
No, I think we just give our tips. And I've got an idea.
Tip.
I've got an idea for a debate section we might have at some point.
That's a shame. That's a shame because we could have called it the Dad Masturbate.
Listeners, there's a reason.
Sorry.
There's a reason that I come
I'm
up with the
sorry.
ideas around here, and these guys just do what I tell them.
Oh, goodness me.
Anyway,
that marmalade vodka.
Alongside the Dad Masterclass, we also have Dad News, which we'll do shortly. We also have the world of parenting and Am I Being Unreasonable? So it's a fun, packed episode of Dad Chat for all of you there at home. And so John is going first with the Dad News. John, take it away.
Yes, sir. So, father of three, kids have gone back to school last week. Great news. It's been great. Second week, all three of them ill. Runny noses and coughs. And it's just like, it's going to be the Rona, isn't it? It's going to be the Rona. Within a couple of days, it's gone and it's fine. This morning, my son throwing up. Like, literally, they've been shielded away from society and now like they have no immune system. It's unbelievable. And then today was quite fun as a father sitting and listening to Boris Johnson going, and we had a spike in test requests in the last 2 weeks because you fucking opened schools. What did you expect? You should have fucking prepared for it. I have to say, it really wound me up this week as a parent to hear the government going, we don't have any tests. Like, if you're planning to reopen everything, just fucking plan for it. And I know there's no perfect plan because it's a new situation and all the rest of it, but it's the fucking ABCs of strategic planning. Dude, it wound me up. And seeing your kids ill is sad. It really is. It's not fun. Apart from the vomiting, because that's quite funny. It really puts off my wife. And I find it really funny because she's just like, oh my God, and literally runs away. And then I have to sit there and clean it. But it is quite fun seeing my wife run away.
Your wife runs away from her children?
From her children
From when they're being
puking.
sick.
Yes. It's quite fun.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't
It's
reflect well.
interesting.
Dude, I was the guy holding her hair when she was having morning sickness. I was just like, "You're right, darling," looking into the bowl, and she's just like running away from the kids when they throw up. It's quite fun. It's quite fun.
Well, how are they now? Are they doing okay?
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good. Yeah.
That's
So
what
it's
we
not
wanna hear.
it's not Rona. And it's not the norovirus either, because you two were scared about holding a podcast tonight. So don't worry, I'll
It's
be
not
sharing
nice,
it with you.
norovirus. I had it last year.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
it'll be quite fun seeing both of you puke, because I seem to have an immune system of a
No,
fucking bull,
that
and I
was-
don't tend to get ill. So
No. Well,
because I get
it's more
infused.
so. It's more so us passing it on to our kids.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would be heartbreaking.
And why?
That would be
it's-
I
heartbreaking.
don't care about me. It's about
Yeah.
the daughter. But yeah.
No, but yeah, they're all good.
Good.
It's quite fun. But yeah, it's interesting. How about you, Magnus? Matthew?
I could be Matthew.
No,
Well,
but yeah,
let me,
but
let
yeah.
me put on these slippers.
No.
Fucking pretentious.
I do have two
Slippers.
spare pairs,
Do you really?
Yeah.
That is awful.
but my feet have been in them a lot.
Okay.
So you might not want to.
Yeah,
wear
you're gonna
them.
get the McGinley stench.
Well, my dad news is I have noticed that my child has become quite lean. So she's going to be 20 months soon. Yeah. What I mean by lean is she's pretty much lost a lot of her
I
puppy
should
fat.
join CrossFit or something like.
Well, you know, I was going to ask you, Matt, because your daughter's a similar age. You've been through this stage as well. Did you notice that there was a point at which your daughter started to lose a lot of the
stretch?
Yes.
Yes, big time.
Very, very stretchy.
But even now they do it. Like even later in
Yeah.
the thing, occasionally they'll stretch, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're a bit fucking taller.
Yeah, and we were worrying that maybe she's not eating well. She's you know, she's a picky toddler, but so are all fucking toddlers, and you have to force them to eat. And we were thinking, is she not getting her intake? But she's maintaining her strength. You know, she's sleeping well and learning well, and there doesn't seem to be anything there. But she's noticeably leaner.
Yeah. I can tell you, I actually noticed this recently with mine, is I noticed they go through a phase of a bit of a belly, which you think they've been eating too much, and then all of a sudden, because they got my fucking wife's
belly stage.
they got my wife's genes.
Yeah.
They get back into a six pack, and it's just like slight belly, and then bang, six pack, and it happens every sort of month or so. Where like my son now, I can hold him here. He's like quite tall. He's like 10, and I'm like nearly 10, and I'm like, shit, he's getting quite big. But if I think about last year, I looked at a picture last year when we went fishing. He was a lot shorter, and it's this whole belly to stretch phase, and it just happens. It's part of life.
So listeners, breaking news: kids grow.
Yeah, I know, right? Fucking unreal.
Yes.
I mean, when I became a father, I was
Matthew, we
expecting to
know
have a
they
chihuahua, and yet I have a fucking child that grows. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, they start off small.
It's unbelievable. Okay,
They start off small, and then they get big.
Yes, but
This
it's the
is
way
groundbreaking. I reckon we should phone Netflix. They need an episode 7 of Babies.
yes. Kids
I
grow
think
like
the Mojave
boners.
slippers are getting to you. And the whole belly thing is a proper stage. Like, that is definitely a proper stage. But I'm starting to see like she's just looking a little bit athletic now.
Okay.
Like, all of a sudden, it's like, what the fuck are you getting a six pack from, bitch?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It
You
annoys me.
know. But yeah, that's my dad use. It's something that I noticed a lot this week. Like, wow, she's
Any
starting
other
to
dad
become
news?
a proper child. Any other dad news? I've been a dad for about 20 months now.
Most of that time documented on this podcast.
Pretty much, yeah. What's that, John? You whispered something to me. Oh, yeah, listeners. Finally, after 5 months of being unemployed, I'm very happy to announce that I have successfully enrolled into Job Seekers Allowance.
You dickhead. Tell the story, man.
I now have a job.
Yay! Congratulations.
Finally, I have a job. So yeah, that's a nice.
It's very good. I think that is a dad news that I wanted to hear.
Thank
That's
you.
Good news.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good news.
Because you were very close to deadbeat dad territory.
Yeah.
6 months. I think 6 months unemployed is undeniable. Deadbeat dad.
Yeah. I was.
No,
in
anyone
a
that's
pandemic.
listening to this who's in a pandemic and hasn't got a job, don't listen to us. Unfair.
Yeah.
Let's be
Oh,
fair. That's a bit unfair. isn't
Emily's
it?
crying upstairs. Clearly, she didn't like me being mean.
No, you're being mean. Your daughter's crying. Deadbeat dad of the week goes to Matthew. So
Very
tell us,
good.
Matthew, your news.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not much that's happened since I last saw you guys. We went up to Nottingham, where I am from, and saw.
Really?
Yeah.
I can never tell when you say masterclass with an
Masterclass.
A. Masterclass. I
Well,
can't say it.
where's the R in master?
Masterclass.
Master.
Master.
Well, there's R at the end.
No, my
in the
master
middle.
class sounds like that.
Mas-
Master
Master
class.
class.
Master.
I don't know.
Master.
Master
There's
class.
not one in the middle. Master class.
class.
How many R's have you got in
Fuck your
there?
arse.
It's like glass.
Class.
Yeah, glass.
Path. Castle.
Arse.
Arse. Well, yeah, there's an R in arse, you dickhead.
Well, no, not the American one. ASS.
Yeah? Ass.
you
You don't
go.
pronounce that arse, though. What are you talking about? Anyway.
An arse. You're an absolute arse.
This is the time for you to be quiet, John.
No, it's not. Arse. A
So
donkey. Arse.
I went up to Nottingham. Up to
Nottingham.
Nottingham. The one thing
Yeah.
about Nottingham is we don't pronounce the T's, so you can have a go at Nottingham
Nottingham?
people for that.
So you're,
yeah,
you're
Nottingham.
a wat.
Nottingham.
And yeah, very good, John.
Wat.
So I went up to Nottingham. I only got to spend time with her grandparents. So you got to have a little bit of a relaxing time because I didn't have to, do all of the parenting, which was enjoyable. And we did get some feedback on the podcast from my wife because she ended up not being very well when we got back, and took a day off work and was lying in bed, and she didn't want to watch anything because she had a migraine, and so she thought she'd listen to something instead.
Oh, no.
And she listened to our latest episode at the time of recording, which I think is episode 23. Or is it that's up now? Or is 24 up now? There's 23 that's up now.
23 is up now, yeah.
And yeah, so too much swearing.
Too much swearing.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
Apparently we swear too much. That's what my wife
That's
says.
what my wife said as well, actually. She listened to about 4, and she said the same thing. And then she stopped listening. Which is good, because I
don't know about you guys, but this is how much we normally swear when we're conversing.
don't fucking swear that much.
Pretty much.
If anything, this may be attenuated swearing.
I think we dropped the C word a few times on the 23rd or 24th podcast,
Jesus.
potentially. I
I've
think
said
that's what
that
it was.
20 times today in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
see, I don't do it. You see, at home, I don't do, because I'm quite good with the kids. Like I genuinely, and then I see you guys. It's like, or what? Whatever.
It's cathartic.
Yeah.
it is, and sometimes that you need it for emphasis. A good fucking is dropped. Yeah, but dropped in the right place with the right emphasis can
Gets you a kid.
Conversely, they do say that cursing is the refuge of the illiterate.
Mm-hmm, yeah, but I'm not illiterate.
But they said that the very smart tend to use cursing quite often. So
who fucking knows? Let's just keep on doing what we're doing.
Who knows what they know
Who
anyway?
knows,
Yeah.
indeed.
Conspiracy, I'm telling you.
So that will wrap it up for Dad News. We will take our customary brief break, and when we return, it's the time for the new segment, Dad Masterclass. We're going to talk about nappies. Join us for that in just a moment. Welcome back to Overly Honest Dads, and you lucky people, we've got a new segment just for you. The new segment, as I mentioned earlier, is called Dad Masterclass, and the idea is that we'll give a short overview of a certain aspect of parenting or dadding in general, and for this week we're going to do nappies, because I figure that's a universal thing that all new fathers have to deal with. Because it's part of life. Excretion is one of the 7 signs of life, isn't it? So
it is. Yeah.
Unless, if you've got a live human being, they're going to excrete. And we're going to talk about it. So I've got a few different sections we'll talk through. I'll introduce the sections. Magnus and John will make unwise interjections as they see fit as we go through. So I suppose the first thing you need to think about with nappies is what type of nappies you're going to use. The standard type is your regular Pampers, disposable nappies. Magnus, I understand that you went for a more eco-friendly option.
Yeah, we did.
What did you go for?
We went for Kit and Kin and Natty. They make a fully biodegradable nappy, but then it's for a premium.
Yeah. So you can spend lots of money and help the world. Are they actually like eco-friendly? Well, in what way? Maybe we should tell our listeners, in what way are they eco-friendly?
So they will simply biodegrade over time to nothing.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure what they're made from, but it's not like the plastic sacks that you'll get, which have got a certain chemical which degrades the plastic over 2 years.
Yeah.
I think they degrade a little bit sooner than that, and they don't require light or UV to break down. But they're supposed to be a little bit more eco-friendly than the 500-year nappies that you get that are pretty much the standard.
Okay. Is that how long they take to biodegrade?
500 years.
500 years.
So somewhere in the world. So when was the first disposable nappy created? Because
2010.
Yes, something like that. Who knows?
I just like the idea that there's like nappies from 75 years ago with shit smelling inside somewhere in the earth. Just this really rancid old shit somewhere in the
The
ground.
shit is biodegraded, just not the nappy.
Yeah.
Okay. John, do you remember what brand you tended to use when your kids were younger? Obviously, they're all a bit older now.
Back in my day. So what I can tell you is that we had none of the information that you guys had when you had kids.
You had
And-
there was no parenting information at all.
No,
when you were,
no. But the problem is
the
there wasn't.
internet was a
Dude,
thing.
wasn't
No,
it
guys,
like 8
Amazon.
years ago?
No, it was 9 years ago with the first one,
Right.
and there was not enough Amazon information. Like when you bought something on Amazon, it didn't have all the shit you get now in
Yeah.
Amazon with the product information and the biodegradable.
Get the
shit and all
Wayback
rest of it.
Machine up. I want to test this.
So
I
anyway,
admit, I think the internet was like Web 2 back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
yeah. All I know is that we tried Pampers, we tried Huggies, and they got rashes, or Chris got rashes, and Sienna got rashes, and then we said, "Oh, we'll try this, try that," and same as the formula, you try different things to see. What ended up working was the little Pampers, the little nappies, and they worked a bloody treat. They didn't get rashes or anything like that. The Aldi one they did, but not with the little ones. So we ended up getting the little ones. And in the end, actually, the pull-ups, the best ones were Sainsbury's, and we ended up going with the Sainsbury's pull-ups. So it was just a trial and error. But again, not all the information that you guys have now, where you go up and read up all this shit. And there's a ton of websites. I didn't know about Mumsnet, where all Karens get together and moan about stupid shit and don't actually talk about the real, shit that you need.
There is a third option though, isn't there, Matt?
Yes, and that is reusable nappies, which are probably the most eco-friendly type you can have, but it does mean you have to scrape shit into a toilet bowl. And
Lovely.
So you've got to get really up close and personal with the nappies. And, with some of the shit you'll encounter as a dad, that, is a pretty horrifying prospect.
Well, with reusable nappies, the way you use them is you've got like the outer pant, and then you have an inner liner, and you're supposed to get rid of the liner.
Oh no, there is some way you just scrape it off.
But so no, what I mean is with the liner, you scrape it off, and that's what you wash.
Yeah,
but that doesn't fill me with confidence. What about the rest of the pant bit? Like, isn't it going to be shit on the wings? And
and you have to deal with that and clean it. So some people kind of build their identities around these nappies, and there are lots of Instagram accounts where people have very aesthetic arrays of various nappies. And if that's your thing, fair enough, but it's not mine. There's also nappy pants, but that's not going to be a thing until your kid's a bit older. There's also different sizes to nappies.
Is nappy pants the ones that you rip the side?
No, the ones where they're just like pull-ups.
Yeah, we've had those. We've used those.
Love the pull-ups.
You like those?
Pull-ups are amazing, yeah.
They suck. I hate those, man.
Just
I
hold
bought
it,
them by
rip the
accident.
sides, pull it away. And
they can be hard when there's a shit in there because you have to make sure it stays
if it's
in.
liquid, If it's liquid, but if it's hard, it's fine.
You could roll out. We had one that was particularly dry and pretty much
rolled
out.
Roll.
Yeah, just trying to keep it in there, and then it just rolled out.
Just hit the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
I don't know where you change your baby. I just chose a room.
Upstairs in a room. So there's other equipment you need when you're going to be changing nappies. You're going to need wipes. And again, there's lots of different options for what wipes you can use. We use water wipes. Magnus, I'm sure you've got a very fancy hipster wipe that you use.
I use Tesco biodegradable.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Tesco biodegradable.
So biodegradable, but Tesco brand.
But, okay, guys. So how much you pay for your nappies per pack?
Fuck knows. I don't remember. Probably back in my day, they were 50 cents, 12 shillings.
We buy shitloads when they're on the sale.
All right, so a big box,
a
big fucking box of 12 wipes. Guess the price. Biodegradable.
£3.
£12.
$5.50.
Okay.
I remember spending around £3 to £4
they're great.
On a big box.
So if you guys may remember, I used to buy the Amazon biodegradable, and they were 18 quid for a box of 12 or so, right? Something like that. And that was a lot of money. Yeah. And we were going down the whole eco route, whatever. Then lost my job.
Stop fucking trees all of a sudden.
Ended up homeless, and we couldn't, afford that kind of stuff anymore. So we went down the non-biodegradable route, but we ultimately had a hole that needed to be filled for biodegradable. And we went to Boots. Boots had biodegradable nappies that were okay, a bit dry. I find biodegradable nappies
That's the problem.
are a bit
They're
dry,
aren't they? Yeah,
they are a bit dry. And Boots were particularly dry. They were 80p a pack, so it was working out to be about 11 quid, no, like 10 quid for a big box of 12. And then cursory glance in Tesco's, 55p.
Sainsbury's, same thing. Big pack. I remember buying the boxes. I don't know if there was 12 or how many, but the boxes, the biodegradable ones from Sainsbury's are amazing.
Yeah, and they work well. Like,
but again, it's always
moist enough.
As you have kids, you learn to buy in bulk. You buy in bulk, and it's worth the money, because otherwise you're going to be spending a ton load.
Agreed.
Okay, so that was a long time on that one particular thing. Good work.
So let's talk about it a bit more, mate.
So
that's a bit harsh, man. Wipes are integral.
Some things don't need to be a story. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Matt, I do have some stories about wipes, which I'd like to share now. So our first pack of wipes that we had bought was in the old wipe rush of the 2010s.
I'm not interrupting you. You just go on.
Well, he's having a sip of his beer.
Yeah, so there's
I actually bought a pack of wipes with me today if I need to.
Well, you're going to have to wipe my arse later, so.
For what reason would I need to
I have
wipe
very
your arse?
sticky shit.
I just don't know why you would share this. I'm not going to cut this out. It's so fun.
No,
anyway,
of course
Matt,
leave it in.
yeah, go on, Matt.
Carry on,
Jump
mate.
in.
Carry
You're
on.
the host. You're supposed to jump in at this point.
I don't know. Sometimes
He's
when
given
you
up, mate. He's given up.
sometimes I just like to give you enough rope to let you hang yourselves live on air.
That's a bit harsh, but-
Well,
So-
not live, but-
So you might also need a changing mat. That's going to be a helpful piece of equipment to have.
Oh, yeah.
A mat you could put down somewhere, and you
Towel
put
doesn't
the
cut
kid
it.
onto it. No, it doesn't. You need something waterproof. We'll get
Oh,
on to
yeah.
the reasons why a bit later.
And maybe flared base as well,
Yeah.
potentially. Who knows?
You'll also need some kind of cream because they're going to get rashes.
Yes.
What's the type of cream that? What's it called?
Pseudo-creme.
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 There-
Love
there's
that
quite
shit.
a few. There's Pseudo-creme. There's a yellow one, like the yellow ointment thing.
Back in my day, there was only the white one. Sorry, mate.
There's a few things out there, but yeah,
Yeah.
Pseudo-creme is the number one.
Pseudo-creme.
My pseudo-creme was not woke.
We have a nappy bin, but we our first product review, you guys destroyed the nappy bin. If you remember.
Yeah, you remember that shit.
Hey, it's still great. It's still a very
Sorry, you
useful
wat.
part of our
Stink-free.
routine. Yeah, it makes life a lot easier. Any other pieces of nappy change related equipment you guys would recommend people have?
Some kind of play toy to distract them.
Mhm,
Something like a fidget toy, whatever. Fuck it, who knows?
Yeah,
An apron.
Oh yeah, an apron. Yes, an apron to cover.
especially helpful if you have a boy.
Yes.
Now, you'll also have to think about what area you want to use as a changing area. You might want to do it mobile around the house, or wherever you are, you could just bring a changing mat, or you might want to have a dedicated space. Some people have dedicated changing tables that they buy, but they're quite expensive. And I think you're only really getting one of those if you're someone who's wanting to flash the cash a bit with your baby
Yeah.
purchases.
You do need to consider where you're gonna clean
We
the
bought
baby.
we bought a crib that had this sort of changing plate that went over the crib, and you can change one.
Oh yeah,
And then we ended up taking the plate and putting it on the thing that I missed the most about changing the kids was a coffee table we had in the living room, and basically that changing plate that we had to go over the crib actually ended up always on the fucking coffee table because we always ended up because it was perfect. You sat down on the sofa, kids was perfectly in front of you. You can just change a kid on that wonderful waterproof little plate.
It needs to be somewhere which is fairly quiet. There's not going to be too many distractions because kids are extremely distractible. I wouldn't advise changing your child on, say, a washing machine.
Just hold the
that's on
legs.
a
I've
fast
learned to
cycle.
hold the legs quite well. to
Or
avoid
near
any
anywhere
distraction.
that is going to be a problem if it gets wee or poo on it, essentially.
Yeah.
We repurposed a folding table that Alex had, and for most of the time with Emily, that was what we used as a changing table. We just put the changing mat on there and put nappies and whatever else on there. And that was really good. Cool. So that's about the area. So once you've got everything ready and you're changing nappies, one thing you'll need to know is there are different types of poo that you'll encounter during your nappy changing life. So the first type of poo is meconium. Magnus, as our boffin, explain what meconium is.
It's their first shit that they have. It's like all of that digestion from their mother while inside the womb, and it comes out as this brown, extreme.
Isn't it very black?
Sorry,
I remember it being very
black. Yes, yeah, no, it is. It's black. It's like this very black, tarry substance that for my kid was actually stuck on.
It's quite
to
bitter
her.
as well, wasn't it? So I thought you were going to go into the
Goes
fucking
well,
taste
goes
of
well
it.
on toast.
A bit like Marmite, really.
But it does look like
No, but it
Marmite.
is a bit jokes aside, it reminded me of Marmite.
It has like a very yellow tinge to it as well, but it's pretty much black. And you won't have to worry about that much. Just make sure you use a lot of very moist wet wipes to get that off because it's very, very sticky.
And this will be the first trip to Browntown you'll encounter as a parent. So they're going to be very small probably when you're doing this. They'll probably be fairly compliant because they're so small and they're not particularly active or anything like that. So you're not going to struggle massively to deal with those. Although I think the first time you encounter it, it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. So once they've got the meconium out of the way, then it's time for milk poo. John, what do you remember about milk poos?
I don't remember milk poos. I remember just poos being a bloody nightmare the whole time. I remember the just liquid and trying to hold it in the nappy.
Yeah.
Because it literally,
I
and it was
remember
literally
them
like, like waving it from side to side, hoping it doesn't spill. Basically, it's like soup in a bowl. It's a bit of a nightmare. And I remember And I can't remember if it was after food or during milk poo. It was like the yellowish stuff.
That's it. That's the milk.
It stank so acidy as
Pineapple cottage cheese. Did yours stink?
Yeah.
smell that bad.
And
No
the,
smell.
The acidity to it was insane. Not
What?
the taste, the
Jesus.
smell of acidity.
How do you smell?
The smell of acidity.
What?
You can smell it. Like you can
Acrid
smell acid.
poo.
Have you ever smelled acid?
Of
you
course.
can smell acid, right?
Yeah.
It's the acidity of it. It's like poo, but there's an acidity.
I'm
not with you.
Awful.
Yeah, that's quite unique.
Have they been eating batteries?
What?
Lithium babies. No, I
lithium babies.
that's kind of unique. If I
I
must
remember
admit.
the acidity smell. Oh, it was awful. It really was.
Yeah.
And it was like yellow, awful yellow.
Well, I think for most people, the milk poos, they're like cottage. They're very much like cottage
true.
cheese, yellowy cottage cheese.
What is the result of milk, isn't it? I mean,
it is. Yeah. In my instance, they did not smell at all.
No.
At all. And it made it very, very bearable. The only thing is that they're quite runny, and they can go places.
Again, like a spilling bowl.
Yeah.
You'll get leakage, and we're going to deal with that shortly. Now, when you make the transition to solid food, then it all literally goes to shit.
It's when they get
Shit
their
up the
adult
back,
shit.
mate.
Yeah.
The shit up the
Gordon's
back.
Bennett.
There'll be a period of time where the little digestion systems are adjusting to the new food intake, where we really everything's on the table at that point. Like the food will come through half digested. I remember seeing sprigs of broccoli in there, bits of carrot, and it looked like some kind of impressionist painting on the inside. There were so many different shades and textures, and they were also fairly explosive. So there's an adjustment period when you make that.
It's such a
transition.
shame because a lot of it wasn't digested.
But there was also...
It was really, it was good stuff.
Inefficient.
Yeah.
I reckon there was also a time pressure during that period of... I think he took a poo, and then shit all over his back. I mean, I remember that. After food, it was that. That was the period where if you don't catch it early enough, it'll spread to the side of the trousers, to the back. It'll be a nightmare to clean.
Yeah. And then once they get used to the solid food, then they're just doing little human turds that are quite familiar to you as a human that also does turds. They stink. They're
Terribly.
Disgraceful.
They are.
And what about the goat rabbit pellets? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, but I think we're getting into sort of niche poo areas there.
We all get that. It's dehydrated.
Ding, 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 ding. Like you hear it bouncing off the glass.
They're also the easiest to clean because they just pop out.
Indeed.
Yeah, definitely.
Indeed.
And they just roll down the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
Now, we've had...
You pick it up like it's a raisin.
Don't
you, John?
And then you think it's a Magnum piece of chocolate, but it's not, is it,
Magnum
mate?
piece of chocolate.
Yeah.
Who does that? You really pick it up and chew on it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If it's fucking chocolate off a Magnum, almond Magnum is the shit.
For our listeners...
Well, literally, that time it was the shit. But
in a previous podcast, John had quite graphically detailed to us how he had mistaken one of his son's turds, one of the pellet turds, for a tasty snack.
I was eating an almond Magnum, a piece of chocolate bounced off as I was crunching into it. Looked down on the floor. I was like, oh, there it is. Picked it up, put it in my mouth. Taste I will never forget.
Great.
My wife still kisses me, which is impressive. I mean, really.
So we've been focusing mostly on poo so far, but also you're going to have to deal with wet nappies, of course.
Yes.
But overall, then they're going to present you with a lot less issue than brown nappies. The one exception to that is the potential for getting splashed. So babies have a tendency for when you open the nappy up to decide that's the best time to go for a piss.
Yes.
And although Magnus and I, we've just got girls, John, who is father to two boys, has been pissed on repeatedly. So John, why don't you tell us about that?
Having a girl was the best thing, really, because she never did that. But the boys quite happily would piss on you.
Yeah.
And you kind of prepare for it, where either you stand back or you put something over yourself because you've been prepared to be fucking golden showered, and it's awful. It really, like, especially when boys, depending on the situation, that when they're quite young, they might have a bit of their first hard-ons. And if they do have a hard-on and they piss, it might actually hit your face. And that is not a lie. So prepare for that, because the cold air and a mixture of all the rest of the excitement and laughing, they might have a bit of a hard-on. And when they piss, they'll piss on your face.
See, this is a normal circumstance for you, having a son.
Yeah, you guys are not used to it.
boners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's...
How about your kind of 8-year-old at the time comes to you, Daddy, I don't know what's going on, and it's just like, oh boy, that conversation. Because when it happens, you need to explain it to them. It's just like, it just happens to boys, but you know it happens because it happened to them when they were young, and you're changing their nappies and they're pissing all over you. So, but as boys, as we know, if you're having sex and you need a piss and you go to a piss, you go to the toilet, you will piss everywhere besides inside the bowl. So it's because it would just be like, I'm going to piss straight in the bowl, and it goes off to the right, the left.
Hang on, just rewind. If you're having sex.
Have you ever needed a piss, forgot about it, started having sex, and was like, shit, I need a piss, and stop midway?
You mean like the morning glory piss as well, where you can't bend it down.
You have
to go at an angle.
You have to do a handstand.
You have to do, yeah.
Handstand, I like that. That's good.
Okay. So we dealt with splashback. So we touched on it briefly earlier, but there's also a risk of leakage, especially with wet poos. And so I think every parent has had to deal with clothes that get particularly dirty and shit stained. One bit of advice I'd have is to have stain remover close by. Soak clothes that are covered in shit as soon as possible, like literally within a minute or two, and then you've got a chance of saving it.
All about timing.
Yeah, it is.
All about timing.
You leave it a second, and even if you put varnish in it, but you don't put it in a wash straight away, it will stain. Especially the milk yellow shit. Yeah. That shit will not go away. Yeah.
The milk shits are the ones.
Yeah, they're like yellow. It's like, oh, that t-shirt used to be white. Well, there's sunshine now, isn't it? Just like,
yeah. So become familiar with stain removal. Make sure that's you got stuff to hand and you deal with it quickly. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up this section is how things change when kids get older. So my daughter Emily is not far off 2 years old. Magnus's daughter's a couple of months behind, and John has grown-up kids. One thing I've noticed is that when they get to toddler stage, they get a lot less cooperative. So I think Emily was just a little bit more than a year where she didn't want to go up on the table anymore to be changed. We needed to put the changing mat on the floor, otherwise she would protest. And even then, getting her on the changing mat until recently has been a bit of a nightmare. She's got more compliant now, but Magnus, what's your experience been like of that?
Yeah, we've kept the changing mat because it's next to a window and she can stand on it or turn to the left hand side and see what's going on outside. So we've been able to maintain that. However, yeah, man, the protestations when you're trying to change her.
Tip pull-ups, because they're standing when you're taking it off. You can wipe them up.
Yeah.
When you take it off, and then you put it back on when they're still standing. It really is easy. As long as they're standing on a mat, obviously not on carpet, because then they'll fuck the shit up. But yeah, the idea is, I'll be honest, the pull-ups are really for that, because when they get a little agile and they're toddlers, then you just sort of like, come here, you rip it to the sides, you hold it, you pull it out, you clean them, and then you put the new one on, like you put it on a pair of trousers, which they used to putting trousers on by that point.
That's what it's
and
for.
It's dead easy. I'll be honest. That's you don't lie them down to put those on. You get them while they're standing up, like if they're putting on a pair of pants.
Well, I've learned something new today.
Awesome. Great. Well, I think that wraps up our
Can I make one more comment?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
On this segment, which I think is a brilliant idea. Can we call it just a tip instead of masterclass? Because it's the tip of the week.
These aren't on-air discussions, John.
It's just the tip.
These aren't on-air discussions. This is why, listeners, this is why I don't let you guys...
a reaction. Sorry, I just wanted your reaction.
Vulgar.
Go for it, mate.
This is why I don't let the listeners hear the suggestions that these guys come up with. If you think this podcast is
just
bad...
a tip.
If you think this podcast is bad, imagine what it'd be like if these guys got to choose what happens. I mean, really?
Dishwashers and just a tip.
Apple would sue us, not for because we've done anything wrong, just because we'd be so awful.
When we tick the box, is it explicit? When we publish it, it's not quite enough.
No, but can I say, if anyone likes just a tip, can you send us an email? Because I'd love to fight them. I love his face. He's so disappointed.
I'm used to it with you, John. Disappointment's just.
But I love you. I love you, Matt.
Well, I wish I could say the same.
With no T's, just Matt.
Yeah. So. Great, thanks, John. So that's the end of this first ever Dad Masterclass. That's the name. Definitely
just a tip.
The name. We'll be back with another Masterclass next week. Coming next is a world of parenting. We'll see you in just a moment for that. Welcome back to Overly Honest Dads. It's time for us to take you on a tour through the world of parenting. For anyone joining us for the first time, this is the section where our resident boffin, Magnus, takes us through a science story that I found and told him to read. And then our resident jester, John.
Overly honest, Matt.
takes us through a slightly more light-hearted story, again, that I've sourced and told him to read. So just giving you a peek behind the curtain of how this all works. Magnus, why don't you regale us with your story?
Sure. By the way, it's a pretty interesting article, so I give that to you.
Thank you.
There was an article published by Baylor University in the US last week. If you haven't heard of this university, neither have I. They have an endowment of 1.3 billion. What the fuck?
They're even more well endowed than me.
Now, they published this article last week that gives a very interesting argument that if you were, let's say, your parents divorced when you were a child.
Happened with me.
Did it happen with you? Okay, there you are. You have less, Matt, of the love hormone, oxytocin, than everyone else.
I thought he was well endowed. That's what caused it.
No, this explains why I'm dead inside.
Pretty much. Now, they got 128 participants and were asked to empty their bladders into a cup. The researchers then tasted the people. No, I'm joking.
Into someone's mouth.
They were then asked a series of questions around their childhood, parental relationships, their children, etc. And it was found that those who had experienced parental divorce had significantly less oxytocin compared to those who had not. And it was suggested that the reason for this was oxytocin suppression due to and I quote, the trauma. Okay. Now, you've probably heard the buzzword oxytocin. If you've had kids, you definitely would have. It's commonly released during bonding activities such as sexual activities, delivering a baby as well, nursing. And it's quite an important chemical when it comes to emotional attachments and social behaviour. And it's been known for quite some time that the stress of divorce has some kind of effect on children, be that depression, anxiety, social disorders, mood disorders, etc. And it's now been linked in adulthood, so beyond that, to poorer parenting as a consequence. Less parental sensitivity, warmth, overreaction, and increased use of punishment for their kids. So it would appear that the oxytocin suppression actually may become the norm for the body.
But you know what's quite funny is Matt is just not like that.
It's true. Now, this is an interesting thing. Additionally, other traumatic events in childhood can also have similar effects, like the death of a parent. Which I've experienced, or just things like that. The oxytocin reduces, and that can carry on into childhood.
How many people got tested again?
There was 128. Yeah, there was 128.
Again, shit data.
Okay, John. Yeah.
So for being the boffin, he always gets the stuff. I've got a better article. They're all better like data.
John.
I mean, the data's shit. Like
it's not. Well, we don't know exactly. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how detailed they went into it. I don't know whether or not 128 is enough, but neither do you.
Again,
so fuck you.
In a study, in any clinical study,
but you're talking about drug development, John.
No, but in any data sequence, when you're doing an analytical, when you do an analysis in any data sequence, it needs to be over 1,000 when it comes to any experiment on.
Phase 1 is a few hundred.
Yeah,
but phase 1 is on healthy subjects. It's different. When you're talking about
phase 1.
We're not going to debate clinical trials. It's got nothing to do with our podcast, John. But
anyway, data shit. Go on, Mag.
128 people, and 27% of them had experienced parental divorce, and all of those guys were showing significantly less oxytocin than everyone else.
I think he's the most loving out of the two of us,
Now, food for thought, just to end this article, is that divorce is also known to run in families.
Ooh.
Interesting
stuff. A lot to think about there, Magnus. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure, Matt, and fuck you, John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a big fuck you to John
for ruining anything where it just doesn't make any sense because there's not enough data behind it. But yeah, I am the fucking idiot in the group, but the one that uses his fucking brain.
About this stuff, about that stuff, shut the fuck up. And about your next story, please take it away.
Okay, so my next story has substantial data behind it, which is quite interesting. So
you know what I've got substantial data for? You being a cunt.
Oh wow! Just because I ruined him picking the stories. Oh bless it. This story is good, Matt. So you'll be fine. So British parents spend almost 9 days a year putting children to bed. Paul claims random children, not their own. No joking. So British parents spend nearly 9 days a year trying to put their children to bed and get them to sleep, according to a new survey. Now, on average, it took those who were tested 34 minutes to get their children ready for bed, which works out to almost 4 hours every week. The survey, which included 1,000 parents of children aged between 10
1,000
of 3
way
and
too
10
many
years
people.
old.
You don't need that
that's
amount of
proper
people.
data.
No,
That's proper
bullshit.
data. That's
bullshit.
collection
You don't
of
need
proper
that.
data.
I could tell you with just one person.
Stop
me.
trying to fucking... I'm going to knock you. So the idea is 83% of respondents got back to check if their child had gone to sleep after they had left the room. But yeah, so children make up an average of 3 excuses every night to avoid going to bed, including claiming they are scared of the dark, they feel ill, they need the toilet. My kids, all 3 of them, they constantly need a piss when they go to bed. Like, they piss more at night than they ever do. Literally, they just go, they sit on the toilet and do nothing. But anyway, more than half of those asked said that they had found their child playing with toys when they should be asleep, compared to 28% of children who have been caught playing on a tablet.
Okay. Well,
So
there we are.
tablet for us, the kind of, they go in the kitchen before they go to bed, so they're not allowed that. My daughter plays after we put her to bed. My youngest, the smartest, falls asleep straight away. My oldest resists but falls asleep straight away. I found that the boys tend to fall asleep straight away when my daughter wants to be active after a certain time. But yeah, very interesting article. Good data, Matt. Very good data. And to be honest, this should have been a boffin article, not really a Jester article, because there was nothing funny that I didn't agree with this. I mean, apart from no shit Sherlock, we spend that much time trying to get our kids to bed.
course.
But it is a very interesting article.
I'm going to make sure every single story you have in future has a data set of less than 1,000.
Oh,
And I'm just
yes,
gonna
so I
watch
can
you-
rip it.
And
Yes,
I'm just going
do
to watch
that.
you get stressed out.
Yes, do
and,
that.
and tie yourself in knots.
Do that.
No, I'm going to stop myself.
But just because I'm right and it annoys you.
No, you've never been right. It's never happened.
I know it
It's
annoys
never
me.
happened. Never, and it won't ever.
Now, where's my drink? Because this one's empty.
Anyway, so that brings us to the end of World of Parenting. We're going to take our last brief break of the evening, and when we return, it's going to be Am I Being Unreasonable? So join us again for that in a second. Welcome back to the final section of the 25th episode of Overly Honest Dads. It's time for a round of Am I Being Unreasonable? This is where we take posts from a Mumsnet board called Am I Being Unreasonable? We read out the issues that the posters are facing and we decide whether or not they're being reasonable. Our first post for this week comes from a poster called Falaf.
Falafel.
And the title is, Am I Being Unreasonable to be a bit disappointed? So the post reads as follows. This week, I'm doing the ration challenge, which involves eating the same rations as a Syrian refugee for a week. It's basically rice and very little else and isn't much fun. I've been posting on social media and asking friends for sponsorship, and I'm really disheartened. My posts have literally 0 engagement, whereas a picture of a dog or something similarly unimportant has all the likes. Most of my friends have ignored my messages. My sister's told me it's a terrible way to try and raise money by damaging yourself and is refusing to sponsor me, and we've fallen out. I'm doing it for a week. People have to live on this amount of food for months. I'm not going to die. Someone else has said it was self-righteous. I'm just trying to do something good. When I cycled across the country last year, I was bigged up for basically having a jolly. Now I'm actually trying to help people and do something unfun. I can't seem to do any good. For some reason, I feel ashamed and embarrassed. I'm probably feeling down because of the lack of sugar and caffeine, but can't help but think if I'd done a sponsored etc., or something less hard, I'd have raised more money and awareness.
I'm going to raise money aside of this lady to send her to Syria for 3 weeks. I want to send her to Syria instead of like attention-seeking bullshit like you find on the internet. Like, what the fuck? Really?
It's unfortunately a bit tasteless.
Yeah.
And
Let's send her to Syria.
I debate whether it's self-righteous, but it's a bit tasteless.
Yeah, and I don't see how it's really benefiting anyone. There are better ways to raise money, and I don't think you're really raising awareness of anything other than your own stupidity.
Yeah.
A poster called Brumboo says it's a bloody silly way to raise money. Ultimate virtue signalling, right up there with Brave the Shave. Not sure what Brave the Shave is. But anyway,
I haven't a clue.
So
I've never heard of that.
So we think that she is being unreasonable.
Yes, and yeah.
Okay, so the next post is from Chewbacca. So from Star Wars to Mumsnet, A bit of a fall, but hey, there you go. And the title of the post is "Phones at the Dinner Table." I picked this one because I presume phones at the dinner table might be an issue for John in the not too distant future when his kids have phones.
Yeah.
So the post
dear.
21.
the post reads, "I lost my rag tonight." About my son, who's 17, scrolling through his phone, and then husband checking his emails, followed by son muttering and huffing and puffing at what he read, but wouldn't actually tell us what the problem was. Am I being unreasonable to expect the family to sit and eat the meal I've cooked and converse and not check phones until we have finished?
Don't tell the internet, tell your family. I think
But the whole point is they're asking the internet because they want to know if they're being unreasonable or not.
Of course you're not being unreasonable, but you need to tell them. Just tell them, but as a couple first, and then you install it on your children. As a couple, you agree on something, and then you're going to start. But if your husband disagrees, then it's not going to work. You just need to be in agreement as a couple. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We check our phones when we eat, but I listen to my kids when we need to talk. I mean, it's my way of doing it. It's different ways of doing it, but you need to have the discussion at home and not asking for advice on the internet because it depends on what your partner wants to do.
Are they saying something interesting?
No.
Not really.
Not really.
Okay.
I don't think it's interesting. I think it's just a common
Well,
day-to-day thing
is
as
it
a
at
family
least-
that you need to manage. I mean, it's not...
Is it at least marginally interesting and contributory to
The Syria thing was
family
more interesting
unit?
because I thought it was a fucking idiot. I mean, this one I just think, just talk to your family.
So
I mean, what a waste.
this is a good post. I have this problem
Okay.
currently,
Do you?
and I'm the perpetrator of it.
But have
Are
the
you?
conversation,
I am.
and if there's disagreement, then you find a midpoint. But you're not gonna, you never write it on Mumsnet to ask for
No, I
advice.
know.
You have a
But
conversation with Romana, wouldn't you?
Well, I know if they took up that advice, then this section of the podcast would be snipped off. But,
Yeah, sorry, I ignore what I just said.
but we currently have this. Well, Romana currently has this problem with me in that I do like to flick through my phone while I'm eating. I'm very quiet while I eat. I don't really want to talk. I want to chew, and my phone will be my newspaper, and she hates it. Yeah. She wants to talk.
Very 50s dad.
Yeah.
I guess so.
My paper.
Yeah, I guess so. She wants to talk, but I want to chew. And we have this perpetual conflict.
Yeah, my
It's
wife
endless,
does
and it
want
really
to chew,
fucks her
actually.
off.
That's a good point. Like, she wants to focus on her food.
Mm.
And I don't like... Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I don't want to think about anything else.
No, you just want to chew. That's a good
Chew
point.
and scroll, maybe, or read. Just something. I don't know. It really, really distresses Romana.
Yeah, no, I think me and my wife are aligned on that front. But again, you need to work it out with your partner. I think that's it. I think when the kids grow up...
Yeah, I don't think
you know,
it'll work
I have an
out.
issue, for example, with my son being fixated with YouTubers and all the rest of it. But I talk to him about it. Like, I've never brought it up with you guys, have I? I mean,
No,
I
I don't
talk to
think
him
so.
because my son is the guy I need to talk about it with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I think he's distracted and he's not interacting with his brother and sister enough because he's watching a YouTuber too much, I will tell him.
Yeah.
I won't force it on him, but I will tell him.
Fair enough.
And you have a conversation. I mean, it's family life.
I guess
Indeed.
it depends upon what he's distracted by.
Oh, Minecraft, fuck me sideways, seriously. I hate that shit. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, next post. This is a kind of a COVID-related dilemma. The poster is called Couch Potato 1, and she's asking if she's being unreasonable to go to a wedding without her husband. So the post reads, "My husband and I were invited to a wedding of a family member. It was postponed due to COVID and has been rearranged for October. The bride has told me that although I'm still invited, my husband is not. Weddings still have a limit of about 30 people, I think. I'm not particularly close to her, and was surprised to still get an invite as she obviously has limited numbers. Should I suck it up and go without him, or politely decline the invitation and risk upsetting her?"
So what the relation again?
It's a family member, but it's not more specific than
I'd say
that.
go. If they made the effort to invite you, go. I mean, you know. I mean, if they give them one of your selected numbers because you have a limit, it means they care.
I don't know. It depends what your relationship with your partner's like. If you do things together a lot and that's what you're comfortable with and how your relationship operates, then it's not completely unexpected for you to decline it and I say politely ask her to give the place to someone else. I don't know. I don't.
Halfway now after he said that. No.
Okay. Yeah,
do you think,
I
mate?
think it depends on who you're more comfortable pissing off.
Yeah,
essentially,
pretty much.
And so which is the path of least resistance, and then follow that path.
Mm-hmm.
What's the commenters saying?
Let me go back.
Any
I've lined
abuse?
up the next one. Let me see what they're saying. Bear with me. We're nearly there.
Please hold the line. We're trying to connect you. Your call is important to us.
Shocks Foridon says, if you want to go, then go. Great advice. Red Dog said she had to cut numbers, so there'll be plenty of people there solo. Go and enjoy. And what the hell is this name? Bernadette Rockenkowski-Wolowitz says...
Rockenkowski-Wolowitz is a pull from a TV show, and I can't remember which one it is. Oh, God. It's that Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Bernard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know that.
I'm in this squeaky voice.
With a...
Oh, she got beautiful boobs.
Do you want to see her get married? If so, you should go. So, sound advice all round.
Indeed.
So, our next one. So, this is a bit of a long one. You're going to have to bear with me. And the poster's named Rachel Luten. And she's asking, am I being unreasonable to tell his wife? I work with a guy. We'll call him Tom. Last year, our work hosted a summer party. After some drinks, Tom was acting inappropriately with one of the girls from our office. We'll call her Jess. None of us saw any kissing, but they were very flirty, touchy-huggy, more than just the usual appropriate behaviour. It became office gossip that Tom and Jess were seeing each other. They would always be together in the canteen, they'd regularly be seen going out in the car at lunchtime, and they'd always be together at the pub for Friday night drinks. Tom has a wife, but none of us wanted to question Tom, as we don't know for certain that there's anything going on. December last year, our work hosted a Christmas party, and for the first time we were allowed to bring partners. Tom brought his wife. My husband and I were seated at the same table as Tom and his wife for dinner. I got chatting to her, and she's such a lovely person. At the end of the night, we ended up exchanging numbers, and we said we'd meet for lunch. We messaged a few times in the new year, but lockdown hit, and we never got the chance to meet, and we've not messaged now for 5 or 6 months. 2 weeks ago, my husband and I booked an overnight break in Chester. Guess who we saw that evening whilst we were having dinner? Tom and Jess. It was the most uncomfortable experience. I saw them, they saw me, neither of us said anything. I'm currently working from home, most of our office are. I haven't seen them in person, although Jess and I have exchanged a few emails. I still have Tom's wife number, and I'm racked with guilt on whether it's my responsibility to tell her. I haven't told any of my colleagues about this, as I don't want to be the one to spread news, although we've all had our speculation something had been going on. I just don't know what to do. I wish I'd never seen them there. I mean... what would he have told his wife? Work trip? I can't stop thinking about it. If it were me, I would want to know. It would cause problems for me at work if I was to tell his wife too. I've typed this message so many times, but I've yet to press send. Help. Sad face.
It seems like she's morally in the right place. She's in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
And the crux of it is that she was seen. She wasn't seen. She could have given an anonymous tip-off or whatever. Without repercussion, but then this can cause some serious problems for her. So,
but again, she's not close to them. Do you want to put your neck out for
hey
someone
man,
you're not close to? I don't know.
If there was a guy that I had maybe not known very well, but I was cordial with, and then I saw his chick just doing other shit with another dude, then I'm telling that dude, man. I'm telling him. I am. Fuck that shit.
I don't know. I found myself. I've walked into a situation with someone actually doing something with someone, and just walked out and never said anything because I was like, nah, I ain't getting involved. Fuck that. I just like, I'm really down to mind your business.
Mm-hmm. What if they ask you to get
I don't want to
involved?
gas too much.
Yeah, what if there's a threesome situation going on there? You could have joined the fun.
Where did that come from? Gas too much and they'll get you up. I wonder if he guessed that much when they get you up. I don't know. That song keeps going back to my head. I don't know. There's a song called Mind Your Business Business. I never forget that. And I just think, I remember seeing that. What was going on was literally unreal. I'm going to tell you guys offline. I can't get my neck out on that shit. I mean, if it was one of you guys or someone close to me, fair enough. But if someone not close to me, I'm like, nah, fuck that. Like,
well, I guess it.
Holy shit!
What
did you just kill that fly? How big is that fly?
I just got assaulted by Daddy Longlegs as we were talking.
Damn, man, that's why heavy slippers come in handy, I guess, man. Blimmin' heck.
Yeah, my Mojave's made light work of that Daddy Longlegs.
I heard that smack.
Yeah.
Smack that all on the floor.
All right, so on to the last Am I Being Unreasonable for this week. This is from a post called Rib Rab Rob. And the name of the post is Am I Being Unreasonable to turn up in an old car to a posh place? I have an interview later at quite a high-end health club type of place. That's an awful sentence. I'm going to rephrase that for them. I have an interview later at a high-end health club. regularly frequented by millionaires. See, just keep it simple. The job is a fairly basic admin type role. You're
not going to get the job, darling.
Yeah, if you just say it's a fairly basic admin type role, just say
it's an that's
admin
applying
job.
For the job.
Just say it's an admin job. You save words. People understand what you mean anyway. I was planning to get the bus, however, it isn't possible now, so I'll need to drive my car. It's a very old, tired, rusty car. KA car. That's how you pronounce it, isn't it? Car. Isn't that how you pronounce that brand?
Ford KA.
Yeah, KA
car.
Yeah. Which I just noticed has bird poo all over it. Not enough time to clean it. You've got enough time to post this, but not enough time to clean bird shit. I don't understand that. The job ad made a point of saying appearance is very important. I already do need some kind of job right now. Would I be unreasonable to turn up in this car? Should I cancel? I feel embarrassed. One side of me thinks I shouldn't be and it's just a car, but then the other side of me is unsure.
Just clean it then, you stuff.
Just to know it's gated and they will see my car on the camera at the gate.
Matt, why did you pick this post?
It's Stacey. It's Stacey. It's Stacey applying like last week, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. What, can you please explain to us why you picked this post? that was a post to induce anger.
Sometimes I like to anger you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just like fucking hell. Like, don't know what I'm gonna do. Stacey. I got my third car.
If we just all agreed and everything was quite normal, it would. You need the tension.
So we agree we'll take her out to a field in Peterborough, put 2 bullets on the back of her head, and do.
John! Jesus Christ!
I always have to take it there because I love your reaction. I'm joking. I wouldn't kill her, but she is not going to get the job.
We really should. He just threatened death.
To someone I don't know.
I think there's legal issues there.
There are legal issues.
There are legal issues, my friend. Yes,
but we can keep it in because
let's put in a dot on that. We come back to it later.
He hasn't killed anyone yet, just the seagull.
As far as we know. That brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you very much.
Murder threats.
Especially after murder threats. Thank you very much for joining us and for lending us your ears. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so in numerous ways. The quickest and most effective way will be to send us an email, and you can do that to overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. That's overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. Send us feedback, questions, abuse, whatever you want. You can also reach us on our Instagram page, which John maintains questionably, and we also have a Facebook page which is ignored, and a Twitter which is also ignored, so you can try and get in touch.
And a YouTube channel.
And a YouTube channel if you want to watch our logo and listen to us that way. You can feel free to do that. Why not? Any way you listen to us is acceptable to us. So all that remains is me to thank these 2 idiots, Magnus.
My pleasure.
And John.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you out there. We'll see you again soon. My name is Matt. It's been our pleasure. Take care and good night.